Hey, what's going on, guys, and welcome back to another episode of Andrew Learns Design. I am Andrew, and in today's episode, since we are so very close to the elections in November, I thought, hey, why don't we take a look at past presidential logos? So in this episode, I am rating the top 5 all-time presidential logos. Checking in at number 5 is George Bush and Dan Quayle in 1988. I actually like this logo, but I largely have to say that it's just sort of there. There is a serif typeface. You do see the date in there, or the year I should say, the stars. I don't care for the shade of blue, and if I could make one suggestion for this logo and for this overall presentation, it would be just to separate the bars from the 8 and 8 just a little bit so they don't run all the way together. But overall, it's not a terrible logo. I think, like I said, it's just sort of there and doesn't really evoke a ton of emotion from me. Checking in at number 4, you have Ronald Reagan and George Bush in 1984. Now, if you didn't grow up in the 80s, you probably wouldn't remember seeing this sort of typeface very often, but I remember it fondly because I saw it on coffee mugs, t-shirts, sweatshirts, and pretty much everywhere. And I definitely see it here represented very much in its 80s, true 80s form, I should say, in this presidential logo. It's very similar to the Bush-Quayle logo of 88, but I don't know, I like the typeface just a little bit better. You can see that there are similarities between campaign logos in and around this time. So it was very tough to separate these from 5 to 4, but I'm going to just give a slight edge to the Reagan-Bush logo of 84 because I like the typeface just a smidge better. Checking in at number 3, we have Bill Clinton and Al Gore of 1996. Now, once again, we have a serif typeface here, but this looks a little bit different, almost italicized in that the way it's stretched out. Again, we have classic campaign colors of red, white, and blue, and the year in there. I think it's interesting that in this particular image, we don't see the apostrophe for 96, which doesn't really affect it for me one way or the other. But again, just a very solid campaign logo, but not enough to crack my top 2. And speaking of my top 2, coming in at number 2 is George Bush and Dick Cheney for 2000 and 2004. Now, the reason why I included both years is because, as you will see, the logo is pretty much the same. And in this case, that's not necessarily a bad thing. I really like how they incorporated the American flag into the logo. The only thing I would say about the American flag is that it's sort of folded like a treasure map or some sort of US map or something. It's not really waving. I don't really feel like it's waving. It's supposed to look like it's waving, but it doesn't really give me that appearance here. It looks just like it was folded into thirds and then opened up again. But I do like, especially in the 2004 logo, how the text is slightly italicized, and that gives it the, I don't want to say illusion, but the look of moving forward, that it's progressing. And I think a lot of candidates want to give you that message of progression. Finally, checking in at number 1, we have Barack Obama 2008/2012. There are slight differences between the 2008 and 2012 campaign, but I still say that the 2008 campaign logo is the gold standard for presidential logo. And the reason I say it's the gold standard is because of the soft appearance, because of the single letter O logo and the typeface. The single letter O logo is really ingenious. You have the O in a circle, then you have the land and the appearance of a sun, and that is a new beginning, a new day, progression, a change, and that really was what his campaign was all about and what made it so successful. And you can just see that looking at it. You don't really need to think about it too much. The 2012 campaign borrowed that single O and was largely unchanged, I would say. It's a softer blue too, and that's really one of my favorite colors. It's not, I would say, baby blue. It's not a baby blue, it's too dark for that, but it's more of a social media blue. So there you have it, guys. There are my top 5 presidential campaign logos of all time. Let me know what you think. Again, these are not indications or how I feel about the candidates themselves, just about the appearance of their logos. I'm sure that won't stop several people from commenting and saying, I fucking hate this guy and I love this person and whatever. But these are just my feelings on the campaign logos themselves and not the candidate. So just remember that, Seahawks fans. So let me know what you guys think. I will have more updates coming up soon about design projects that I'm doing. And until then, I will see you guys next time on Andrew Learns Design.